What's up everybody? We're going to talk about the Gen 5 17 today. Now this is mine that I carry for work and I've got right around 5,000 rounds through it. Now if you guys are interested in the Gen 5 stuff, you definitely need to stick around for the entire video. So we're going to get deep into this gun and I'm going to show you guys the changes that Glock made from previous generations into this one. Now when it comes to the Gen 5 stuff, I think there was a lot of people that kind of thought Glock was going to come out with some crazy new platform with some kind of revolutionary design. I never really thought that, and the reason I didn't is because Glock fought for a very long time to get the reputation that they do have now. Back in the day when they first came out, people used to outright laugh at these things because they were made out of plastic. There were people out there coming out of revolvers and the Berettas and the Smiths and everything, all metal guns, and when they saw something that was made out of Tupperware basically, they kind of laughed at it and kind of pushed it off to the side. Now eventually most of those people probably ended up carrying these or at least coming to respect what Glock had done to the market. Now there are definitely changes that I really enjoy about the Gen 5 stuff, and there's one that I really don't enjoy about the Gen 5 stuff, and we're gonna get into that all up close. We're gonna break this thing down and check it out. Now for those of us that expected massive changes, I'm really curious what you thought you were going to get out of the Generation 5, so leave me a comment down below. And we have to ask ourselves a couple questions. One, do we really want Glock to make those massive changes to a platform that we've come to rely on and trust? I would say probably not. My people out there looking for possibly an upgrade, it's a possibility. For my people that are looking to carry this for work, there are some things you need to take into account. The Gen 5 will not fit in a great many previous generation sized holsters. I know specifically the Safariland ALS system will not accept a Gen 5 if it is made for previous generation holsters. There is some dimensional differences in the slide and it will not fit down in there. It will take the slide out of battery slightly, or if you're able to get it down in there, it's likely going to be jammed in the holster. Now that's not in every single case, but with every Safariland holster that I own, going back through multiple Gen 3, Gen 4, and now the Gen 5 stuff, it would not fit in the previous generation holster. It was far too tight. On some of them, it actually did have an issue with catching the ambidextrous slide control, but for most of them, it was actually the dimensional size difference on the holster. Now, this is also true for some of my custom Kydex holsters, like my appendix rigs. The Gen 5 was far tighter in them than others. And these are just some of the things that can come up when there are changes in the generation of a pistol. We're gonna go ahead and get up close to this thing. I'm gonna break this down and show you guys what the Generation 5 is all about. And if you guys like seeing this stuff and learning about these things before you have to go out and buy it and try it and then end up being stuck with something, hit that subscribe button for me. We're gonna get into this Gen 5 17 right now. Okay, let's jump into the Gen 5 Glock platform here. And I've got my Gen 4 version out because we're gonna do some comparisons. And this gun's pretty much a clone of my Gen 5 minus the trigger, same Amerigo Asian sights, same Zev Magwell, polished internals, but this one's got the SSVI trigger in it, which I love, by the way. I've got a review coming on that. So very similarly set up guns. And I want to have this out here to kind of just show some of the differences. Now, obviously the finger grooves are gone. So I was never a fan of the finger grooves on previous generation Glocks because they don't fit my fingers well and it gives me a weird kind of grip on it. So I've actually had it removed on several of my guns, and then some I just leave it on because that gets a little bit expensive and I don't carry this 17 every day. On the Gen 5, so this is my duty gun. This gun's probably got about 4,000 or 5,000 rounds through it now. I don't count after a certain amount, but there's a ton of rounds through this thing. So the removal of the finger grooves for me, guys, I dig it. But what they did do was they left that stupid half moon cutout in there up in the front. And the Zev Magwell will cover that up, guys, but you'll still have that little bit of an open area. I know it's tough to see on camera with the light and everything, but it's there. And you guys know what it looks like. Now the MOS versions and the Glock 45 don't have that. And my understanding is Glock is gonna go away from having that little half moon section up here that most people want covered up anyways. So externally, we have the same ambidextrous magazine release, but in the Gen 5s, they gave us an ambidextrous slide stop, slide release, and it is both, people. That is meant to be used as a slide release. Just like that. That's what it was there for. That's what it was designed for. So anybody that tells you different is lying to you, or they're just very misinformed. The reason a lot of people say don't use this is because they say it's too finite of a movement. I would argue with those people, if you can operate this, you can operate that. That's why Glock makes extended controls for previous generations. So the coating is definitely different. We've got that NDLC coating, and as you can see, it's a little bit more rich. It's a little bit more dark than the previous generations. Almost makes the previous generation look a little bit gray, in my opinion, when you see them light to light in the comparison like that. So definitely something to take note of. Some people say it's less strong of a coating or whatever. Like I said, I've got a lot of rounds through this. The barrel's starting to show a little bit of wear up there on the hood, but definitely a good gun. Another thing that Glock has done in the Gen 5s for us, I love the nose work here. Nothing like a sleek nose, because what that does for you is that helps you break leather, right? So as you're coming up out of a holster, that smooth edge, you're going to be able to start canting that gun faster, and also reholstering. You're not going to have those hard edges to dig on. So that's nice. You know, I really appreciate the Glock has done that. They did that on previous generations before. One, makes the gun look better, makes it operate smoother in and out of a holster. So they've maintained pretty much the same stuff. All right, so gonna do 3 pulls on this. Like I said, about close to 5,000 rounds probably, and I pull from the same place every time. So we are right there, just over 4 pounds. 4 pounds, a little over 4 pounds and 2 ounces, guys. Now for about that amount of rounds and a polish job in here, that's pretty good. And this is the factory connector. Nothing hopped up in this gun. So we are almost dead nuts at 4 pounds, guys. So, and I do pull low on the bar because I ride my finger in here when I'm shooting. I ride my finger almost across the bottom of the frame because I want the bottom of that trigger shoe on my finger because of the sizes of them. So if I pull a little higher, which is where most people are probably going to put their fingers, go ahead and get in here. Keep slipping, guys. So I pulled a little bit higher on the bar that time, and you can see that it is a little bit heavier if you grab higher up by about 4 ounces. So we're at about 4 pounds, 6 ounces, because the higher up you guys grab on the trigger shoe, the stiffer the pull is going to be. So you guys always want to grab low on it. Like I said, I actually ride my finger across the frame like that when I'm shooting, unless I have some of the aftermarket triggers, which just feel a lot better. There are definitely some good changes on the Generation 5, guys, and they may or may not be deal breakers when it comes to you making that purchase. Now, do I think this is a complete game changer over previous generations? Absolutely not. Do I really like what they have done to it minus that stupid half mount cutout? I do. The grip angle for me feels better. It's the same angle, but without those finger grooves. I find myself not aiming as high as I once did coming from other pistols that have less of an angle. That may or may not be something that affects the way that you shoot. The way that they've nosed off the slide is definitely a plus if you either shoot for a living or you carry a gun for a living, because that's going to help you with holstering and unholstering of the actual pistol. The ability that they finally gave us a normal size Picatinny rail is definitely good, because now manufacturers don't have to make specific ones for Glock, but you don't have to put a specific grommet in for Glock, so you can actually interchange all of your lights from platform to platform now as long as they have a Picatinny rail. The NDLC coating definitely looks good, I like it, but I do feel that it did wear, especially on that barrel like we saw up close, a little bit faster than previous generations did. I don't know if that's just mine or if that's something that's been out there with others. So if you've experienced that, definitely leave me a comment down below to let me know. And the ambidextrous controls. Now, I am a huge fan of having ambidextrous controls. So if you're working strong hand or offhand drills, it is definitely easier to manipulate this if you have ambidextrous controls. And if you're ever in a situation where you're shooting offhanded, there's probably a reason, and you're going to need every advantage you can get to win that scenario. So it's definitely something that I look for when I'm looking at buying something. Now, the enhanced marksman barrel, whether or not that is going to make anybody a better actual marksman or target shooter, I don't know. Now, it definitely doesn't hurt. You're getting better rifling, you're getting that nice target crown, and you're getting a barrel that's overall probably going to be a little bit better. Now, it's still like your previous generation Glock barrels where it's gonna eat up pretty much any ammunition you can throw at it. I have thrown some pretty junk ammunition at this. I have shot some steel case stuff through it, and it has given me zero problems, which is what I've come to expect out of the Glock platform. Now, people out there that buy aftermarket barrels, that may or may not affect you either. It's really difficult to say whether an aftermarket barrel is going to make you a better shooter because it's probably not going to be a massive difference that you're going to notice. What it is going to do is give you the ability to shoot some different ammo and do some different things. But as far as a stock barrel, if you're going to leave this the way it is definitely an improvement over the old Glock style barrels. Parts interchangeability. So there are a few things that come from the Gen 4 and will work on the Gen 5, and there are a lot of stuff that will not. We know there's a different trigger bar, there's different stuff going on in there, the different ambidextrous controls, the slide is completely different because you have the notch for the ambidextrous controls. So things are quite a bit different. But going forward, I'm assuming if Glock does the same thing that they've done in the past, there will be many interchangeable parts from the Gen 5 into the Gen 6, so that's definitely something to look forward to. Now, as far as interchangeable parts backwards, probably the main thing that people have asked about is the barrel. So if you guys don't know, like we talked about, the locking block and the barrel and everything is basically set off of the Gen 4 19 locking block. What that means is effectively the barrel in a Gen 5 17 is like a 19 long slide. It's just a little bit longer of a barrel. It's got the 19 lugs on it. So that is why manufacturers of aftermarket barrels have now kind of caught up to that and started making aftermarket barrels based on the 19 lugs for the 17s if you're into that. There is also a huge aftermarket support already coming for the Gen 5 stuff, guys. I've got a bunch of trigger videos coming out soon. The magwell video is already out. There's going to be a lot more stuff in the future for the Gen 5 platform. So definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to see any of that stuff in the future. In all, I do not think you can go wrong with the Gen 5 platform. They definitely improved on previous generations, and they're probably going to do more work in the future. Like I said, I think people were expecting a little bit more than what they realistically should have. But the Gen 5 did give me a lot of what I would want changed out of the previous generation. They did give me that one thing that I really hate, like I said, the half moon cutout up in the front. So if you are thinking about making a purchase or you're first or doing a transition, anything like that, it's definitely a viable option for you. And it's really gonna come down to your budget. The Gen 5s are a little bit more costly right now, but it's probably going to be money well spent. So I really appreciate you guys spending your time here with me today. And if you like what's going on with the channel here, and you like learning about this stuff and getting this unbiased information, hit that subscribe button for me. Leave me a comment about what you thought about the Gen 5 platform differences. And if you like the content, guys, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, you've been here this long, you might as well just subscribe and get it over with. I will see you guys on the next one.